our mission here, as you know, with Operation Startup and the Veterans Florida Entrepreneurship Training Program, is to try to make the state of Florida, generally speaking, an even more veteran-friendly state than it already is. And the Tampa Bay region, our mission with Operation Startup is to make it sort of like the Silicon Valley for veteranpreneurs. We believe that there is a robust pool of great ideas coming out of our veteran community, and why try to replicate something that exists in other communities where they're already doing all of these things well, whether it be Silicon Valley or Austin, Texas, or San Diego or Boston or wherever the case might be. We have something that's unique to us here. We have an enormously powerful pool of veterans that are eager to take action on their ideas. You've all demonstrated that this past 5-month period. So that's kind of where we're at. We believe that this can be accomplished within the next 3 to 5 years. There's already a lot of organizations and stakeholder groups doing some really cool things on that front. We're just a tiny little piece of it, trying to do our little part and contribute to that process. I have on the back of my phone a sticker. It's very hard for you to see from where you are, but it says "A Bad Monkey" is the sticker there. Does anybody know what the Bad Monkey is in Ybor City? Do you know what it is? Okay, awesome, great. So I met our speaker, General Dave Scott, back in November for the first time. I'd heard a lot about him, like, oh man, you gotta meet Dave Scott, he's the coolest guy, he's doing all this stuff. Retired general, opened up a bar, the Bad Monkey in Ybor City. I was like, I definitely gotta meet that guy. So we had, our Veterans Entrepreneurship Training Symposium last November, and the Friday night before, I went over there with a number of other folks and met Dave there, and what an awesome storyteller he is, and person in general. So I want to welcome him here today to speak with you, share with you some of his experiences and words of wisdom that he may have for you. So without any further ado, please let's give Dave Scott a big warm welcome.
All right, so congratulations to all of you that have endured this course of instruction and interaction. Well done. And a special thanks to Dr. Gold and all of the staff and folks who volunteer their time to share whatever words of wisdom they have, which is pretty cool. Dr. Gold, Andy was telling you all the good things about me, but to be honest, why am I here? I'm cheap. I'm a bit of a relic, and I have a little bit of military background. I've taken some battle damage from the streets of life a bit. And oh, by the way, I kind of love Ybor City. When you think about entrepreneurship, what that word means, and you look what is outside the windows here, I'm delighted this facility's here. I'm delighted this program has come here, especially with veteran time. There's great context in our heritage here, what happened when you look at who came here in the original melding of cultures and races and nationalities and traditions that built our cigar industry. And then if you look at how, after going through urban renewal and how Ybor City really hit a decline, we're coming back. And the Special Ops Command has brought their research and development, the AT&L folks. They have a rapid prototyping center here that started with 3,000 square feet, moved to 6. They're looking at 30 to 40,000 feet of space now. USF putting an engineering department down here. They're nestled right next to HCC, and people smell the scent. So here comes the Cybersecurity Training Academy. They have a veteran track there. They want to be right across the street. CACI's knocking on the door saying, hey, we have some cyber attack type of initiative. And here comes L3. We have an innovation center. Maybe that's a good place to come. And so there's kind of a nice, this is a good place to be, and it's good to have this kind of group to talk to. You're all, raise your hand if you're an entrepreneur. Pretty much everybody's got like here, Entrepreneurial Collaboration Center. You look at the definition of the term, it describes someone who takes extraordinary risk, primarily financially, but other risk in order to step out on your own and do something unique. If you look at the definition of a pioneer, kind of the same thing. Out of the known, leaving your circle of familiarity, accepting greater risk in order to go to a new place and make something new happen. First responder. What's a first responder? Someone who sets aside the relative security of a normal life and accepts the additional risk to go into a burning building, to go down our streets and confront a shooter, an active shooter situation, go on a battlefield. Risk, risk, risk. So when I meet folks like you and we sit down and folks like you are transitioning out of military service, but it's not quite there yet, and we're introduced because I often talk to people about the transition and we talk a little bit. They say, well, what's the secret? Tell me how I'm going to succeed in this transition. What should I do? My question is, well, what do you want to do? And what's the answer? Anybody guess what the answer is? I don't know. 100% of the time. I don't know. So then we start talking a little bit. Well, first of all, you have to take a little bit of assessment. Step back, look yourself in the mirror, talk to the family, and figure out what you're all about. Are there things that you're really passionate about? Are you worried about money? Do you have to be living in a specific location because that's where family is? Or do you really like being in the mountains and have to be in the water? Get through all those kind of foundational questions. The next question then is to pick the thing. And I describe that choice as having 3 different bins, baskets, 3 levels, and it's all associated with risk. So the easy one, the one right at the bottom, is keep doing what you're doing right now. So if you're a financial officer or NCO, knock on the door of a bank, see if they'll hire you. If you're a pilot or an engineer or maintenance person, go to a defense contractor, see if they'll hire you to do kind of what you're doing right now. Known, familiar, ground, very low risk. Is that going to make you wealthy? Is that going to fuel your fire, passion? You're going to own anything? No. But you'll know what you're doing. There's very few unknowns, and you'll get a decent paycheck as you go. Second bin, a little more risk. Do something different, but that appeals to your value system. So I'm talking to Jim. And Jim is a helicopter pilot, did a little bit of CV-22 time. Now he is the ROTC commander up at the University of Florida. We're talking, hey Jim, what do you want to do? I don't know. Well, we went through the foundational stuff. So is there anything that you would like to do that you haven't been able to do because you have been wearing a uniform for 30 years? You know, I really love interacting with kids. That, to me, is every day. I go in there and I look forward to the interactions. I didn't know that I did because I'm not so good with my own kids. They don't listen to me. But I feel like I'm making a difference in this environment. All right, well, do you think that's something you might want to do? You know, you just might have something there. Okay, so we start talking about university system and how tough it is to get into that, what the creds are. We started talking about other things where kids are in coaching or in sports or organized activities or character building things. So we kind of went around that. And then the third level, the top level, the riskiest level, is going to business for yourself. And there's a range there from kind of safe, which is a franchise, right? You get a package, the answers are there, business plan, you're going to pay for that, but your risks are pretty low. On the other extreme, you have developed your it, and you want to build the it that nobody has built before, and you're going to slam it, which incredibly rewarding if you get there, but there's a hell of a lot of risk on that. You're on the far right of the scale, and that is the far right of the entrepreneurial scale, the hybrid scale. That's where you folks are. And within this crowd, I know a few of you, I can put where you are on that scale. My assumption is most of you are probably to the right of middle. On a scale of 1 to 10, you're probably bumping into the 7 or 8 range. A couple of you may be right out there to 10, or it goes to 11, you could be out there. And so talking to you, there's a few things I'll emphasize, and then I'll tell you a story. So you've heard a lot, 18 weeks of mentoring, courses of instruction, done business plans and whatnot. 4 things I think most important. The plan, the plan, the plan, the plan. You cannot overthink what you're going to do before you do it. Will you execute the plan exactly as you think? Will things actually turn out the way you expect them to? Absolutely not. But if you don't have a plan, you absolutely will fail. And the things that are important, you can follow the checklist, that's all good, but have a framework in your own mind. When I talk to folks, I say, man, you got to plan through six different baskets of stuff. One, you need your corporate plan. You know, what you're going to do with your people, your location, your overhead, your money, all the mechanics of running a business. Tighten that. You've got to look at your market. Having the great thing will fuel your fire and it'll make you really, really happy, but if you can't sell it, you're going to fail. So you really got to drill down and understand that market. If you're going to operate in the market, you got to have your sales strategy figured out. So how am I going to go into that market? Which is tied to how am I going to deal with my competitors? How will I stand out? How do I be the winner in a competitive environment? And then the product. Having the product is great. Great products flash, and then they have to sustain. That's always a challenge. So as you present your product or your service, make sure you're planning through the next ridge line. What am I going to do next? Kind of like a military. And then the sixth and last is exit strategy. Am I in this forever? Do I want to hand this off to my kids? Do I want to make a flash, a lot of money, and then sell, start something else up? So all those things kind of fit into the plan, my wisdom for that. Risk. Let me tell you a story. I have, when I retired, I started at that bottom basket. A couple of reasons. I was tired. I had been in the military since I was 18, 36 years in uniform. My bucket list, I sat on my dock, about 2 weeks, that was all I could take. And I realized that I had flown all over the world, lived many places, done many things, but most of my life was in the let's destroy something zone. Did very little building, and I did absolutely nothing to contribute to a community level. So I kind of found Ybor City from a plywood shack in Afghanistan, decided this would be a great place to, almost like a guerrilla campaign, because Ybor City didn't look so good 7, 8 years ago. I think we can do better. So started doing a lot. I'm going to contribute at a community level. So I got involved. I was chairman of the Ybor City Development Corporation. I put a lot of money into bad business decisions just because, hey, Ybor needs a good restaurant. We put a gallery here to sell any art, things like that. But to cover my bets, I got a job with a big company. And one of my bucket list things was I want an office with a lot of glass above the 10th floor with a great view. So I was on the 14th floor of the Sykes building, looking out over Davis Island, where the channel and the port all come together. I commanded the Tampa commercial landscape from that building. And I hated the job, but I had the great view. So yeah, you do a deal for the devil. I mean, the money was good, and I loved that office, and well, I got hired, the president of the division said, Dave, here's $4 million. We want to really amp up our presence in Tampa. This is a very important customer. We've got a strategic vision, and we're going to do this. A year later, that money disappeared. I had no people working for me. And in big companies, it's all about the bottom line. We've got to report our quarterly earnings to our shareholders, and they're not going to be happy if it's not a good story. So decision-making kind of is driven by that. And I like to look at next ridgeline. I'm kind of entrepreneurial by nature. I'm kind of a strategic thinker by nature. So I kept arguing with the big company to kind of extend that. But they didn't want to spend money on something without guaranteed return on that investment. So if there was no contract to be won at the margins the company thought acceptable, they weren't interested in it. So as a homework deal, I got a little group of folks together. In my last military job, I worked for a guy named Stan McChrystal. Some of you may know that name. We were not doing very well against Al-Qaeda in Iraq specifically. We went there with a small task force, and our job was to change things. And we found that if you create a big room like this, and you bring in the FBI and the CIA and all our defense counterparts, and you wire everybody together with a 24-hour video teleconference, basically, there was a synergy there. And we called it the unblinking eye, and it was an intent to flatten the organization and really make things happen faster. I was very frustrated then because we were manually getting our information. In other words, here's a 19-year-old kid staring at a predator picture all day, and it's dirt. We had these things, named areas of interest, right? Dirty NI alleys. And this kid would stare, and there was a fleet of them. They would stare at that scope, trying to see something that stood out. And that was a time when our data take was exponential. We were beginning to pull in from all over, and it was cell phones, it was visual imagery, it was a lot of human reporting, it was sharing information with our international community, it was a lot of law enforcement, and here comes Interpol, all this data coming in, we couldn't process it. And I would go to Washington, D.C., Andy, tell me to shut up when I'm out of time.
No, you're good. I do want you to tell them about where the name Bad Monkey came from. That's good.
So anyway, we've got this tremendous, and I go to Washington to National Media Exploitation Center, and the guy that runs it is crying. He said, man, we can't even look at 1% of the take here, much less analyze it, or translate it, because it's not in our language, and then understand it. And so here I am, a guy wanting to kill things, and I know the secret. Where's Bin Laden? The secret is in this pile of goo. So fast forward, now I'm working for this big company. It's an IT company. I put a little group together, and I bring in an IBM guy, really, really smart. And we talk, and he says, I think I can build that. Cool. And then we bring in a small business guy. He says, hey, I think there's a contract deal out there we can grab. And, we get about 4 people around the table. In 1 month, we got $10 million out of an unsolicited proposal kind of at the end of the fiscal year. Those in the military will know what that means, right? Got to spend the money. Yeah, okay. So we took advantage of that, and I'm excited. I'm leveraging my big company's back end. They're going to prime, and I've got these small businesses that are very entrepreneurial. They're going to build this thing, and then we'll bring it in. So I'm going to get to where I want to go and run. Failed miserably. So as that went down, what happened? The big company, we got to show our shareholders something. They immediately took 10% off the top as a pass-through. And then a small business operator who was driving a nice big car and living in a nice house was charging outrageous rates because he could in order to support the infrastructure. And the guy who was really interfacing with the customer was not contributing a whole lot, and the only person creating value for the enterprise ended up with almost no money. And so at the end of that, this person who had the great entrepreneurial ideas said, I don't want to do that again. I don't like the big companies. And oh, by the way, they were teammates together in the Army. So there were friendships here too. There's a lesson there. Be careful who you partner with.
Yeah.
Be really, really careful. So version 2, the IBM guy quits IBM, starts his own business, small business. He's going to build that thing that we were trying to build together. Does very well, has a great product. Market analysis, a little bit sketchy, struggles. Starts to get a little bit of traction, and he still does business with his buddy who's in the teams with him, who doesn't pay him. So $450,000, no check. I'm sorry, I just don't have it. Got a nice house, got a nice car, everything in my world is fine. You're not going to get your check. So we'll call the entrepreneur, that's his name, we're here on. So he's in his second iteration, second cycle. Decides, I can't cover, I got to meet my payroll. And I bootstrapped this thing, I need help. So third coming of the entrepreneur was a joint venture with a medium-sized corporation. A medium-sized corporation says, well, help. There's a little money. You can work out of our offices. We already have active contracts. You can come and draft behind. You need admin help, we can leverage that. So down the board, attractive. How did it play out? The promises, payrolls weren't done on time. Invoicing wasn't done on time. Legal advice didn't come on time. It was the small entrepreneur doing all the work and the joint venture partner trying to see if they can profit off that to keep their flashy presence in Falls Church, Virginia looking really nice. So after a while of frustration, and there would be board meetings there that ended up screaming, slamming, chairs being thrown, really ugly. Allegations of corruption, awful, interpersonal stuff. Big lesson there. Be careful who you partner with. So the entrepreneur says enough of this, ends up meeting a West Coast entrepreneurial company with 25 PhD data scientists on payroll, $90 million of angel capital investment. Great stories in the paper. And these guys meet and they fall in love in almost every way except the physical one. They're intellectual soulmates. And it is it's an escape for the entrepreneur, right? He's been through 3 bad experiences. This is the one. We got money. I love this guy. They got all this potential. I am jumping. And by that time I'm on the board and we're all saying, hey, entrepreneur, be careful that you're not just escaping pain, but you're doing the right thing. What's your plan? This is going to work. I know this is going to work. You got to move with your gut. Okay, true to a point. So there they go. And he puts $800,000 of his own money into that joint effort, which is going to really go big. And they do. Right up until the entrepreneur discovers that after 10 years of research with all these really smart people, they have no product. They have got patents out the wazoo. They have great discussions and they fill boards with ideas. They have no product. He creates the product, ends up selling it. They get great accounts. But then his partner, who lives in a $5 million house, takes all of the money and actually leverages the company by getting loans that nobody else knew about, including the board. So after about a year of intense stress, the entrepreneur says, enough of that. He's on evolution number 5 as a new startup entrepreneurial business in Dallas that's learned a lot of lessons. So, kind of why do I bring that up? The pressures are acting out of desperation versus your own, hey, this is my choice, my good plan. Getting into business with the wrong kind of folks. Needing money and doing desperate things to get that money. And then at the end of the day, there's a huge lesson, and that kind of wraps this all up. You know, we started defining an entrepreneur as somebody who takes extraordinary risks financially to start a business. Pioneers may be shot by the Indians on their way to the West Coast. First responders get dinged up pretty good on the battlefield and on our city streets. Entrepreneurs, don't be surprised if you fail. Chances are, most of you will. And if you learn from it, that's not a bad thing at all. And if you look at the histories of most successful folks, they failed at least once. Elon Musk was a week away from bankruptcy. He was unable to meet payroll. He was living in his father-in-law's basement. He had no money, nothing, sleeping in his car when he wasn't in his father-in-law's basement. Managed to get some money and turn that thing around. People that are successful have to recover from disappointment along this path. You're on a risky road. I hope all of you succeed. If you are, you're a unicorn. And I bet you 10% of you are going to hit that. Some of you may already be there. The rest of you are going to go into various stages of desperation or abject failure. Don't let it discourage you. Come back and play. So just to close, Andy, to your question, Bad Monkey is my 7th or 8th business trying to do something here in Ybor. I had a barbershop. That failed miserably. I had the gallery. I told you nobody bought art in Ybor City. 2 restaurants. One nobody would come to because Ybor was a bad place and you get shot or stabbed. It was a fine dining restaurant with a great place. And I had another restaurant with a crazy Italian chef who wouldn't stay in the kitchen, so he came out and chased the customers away. So I built the bar to be a place where we could interact. The interactions I get there are between business folks such as yourself, a lot of Ybor community people. The Navy SEALs gave me the name. Bad Monkey was from Team 5, West Coast SEALs. They had a group always getting in trouble. Bad Bravo platoon. And then they didn't like the Bad Bravo, wasn't a positive enough image, so they called themselves the Bad Monkeys after that, and it lived up to the reputation. So, even last night, I go into that place every night, and the the interaction I get, and to close this whole thing, my investment in Ybor, there's a passion here for the district as well as the financial one, and I found within that little bar a place where they all merge together. So I do business for the district often. I get to meet people who have transitioned out and who are still serving that come through that place. I'll have a full house during Special Ops Week next week. So it's a good place to be. And I hope that you all, on whatever pathway you choose, you find the same sort of fulfillment and reward, whether it be immediately or after a bit of turbulence along the way. The end state is what we all need to be looking at. So once again, congratulations. I wish you all the best. Thank you.